Hey guys, welcome back to Dizzle in Motion. Dizzle here today, and as you can see, I'm on vacation, but I had the tripod, I had the microphone, I've seen all the news, I've gotten 400 DMs on this subject, so I kind of wanted to just cut the video while I'm here chilling at the beach. So enjoy the ambiance. If you clicked on the video, you already know this is a video where I'm going to address all the drone incursions, what I think it is, where I think it's going, how I think it ends. If you don't know who I am, my name's Mike. I run an automotive aviation, kind of like whatever goes on around us that flies, drives, or swims, and I make videos on them. I'm a previous Air Force firefighter. I have a lot of crash recovery experience. So pretty much things that are in the air, especially if they're involving the government, known and unknown, I'm your guy. So sit back, relax, and hang out with me for 10 minutes while I break down what I think is going on. Okay, so what exactly is going on? I'm gonna throw up some examples here where I'm speaking, but basically, a couple of weeks ago, people started reporting seeing drones over the East Coast, primarily New Jersey, some in New York, all around that area. I guess now it's moved on to DC, a couple of places on the West Coast potentially, and it's just like all over the place, right? Mainstream media is picking it up. Now officially the government has come out and said, we don't see anything, but there's nothing to worry about, but clearly there's something going on. So right away the conspiracy theorists fire up, right? Well, the more it gets reported, the more you talk about it, and you have amateur reporters, amateur sighting people that are not familiar with aviation, reporting on this stuff. It creates a self-generating mass hysteria. So as you can see by some of these, I mean, there's clearly just flat out airliners being reported as UFOs, UAPs, drones, and it's madness because if you look at, we could start with the aviation lighting. I don't think that the aliens are using FAA regulated green and yellow wingtips just to appease us, right? You'll notice a lot of the drones that seem to be legitimate and filming have a grid-like search pattern. That has led to some speculation for some other stuff that I'll cover a little later in the video. But what I wanted to start out the video by saying is I believe over half of these reports now are either just general regular aircraft that people are missighting, and then of course it's the internet. So I think we're getting generated intentional misleading where people are flying their own drones, trying to photograph them from weird angles, possibly CGI, AI type stuff. So it's muddying the waters and causing this mass hysteria to get even worse. Okay, so let's address one of the conspiracies right here. There's been documentation, I guess, put out by New Jersey state authorities. I'm not familiar with how their people work and how they do business over there, but when I read that as a crash firefighter, I see there's a lot of stuff coming either from AFIs or SOPs. These are rules that we have for engagement for a downed aircraft, recovery of an aircraft, stuff like that. So as you might imagine, things that fly need to be lightweight and efficient. Oftentimes those materials are what we call composites. And a composite can be like carbon fiber, derivatives of that, all the way up through stealth technology type stuff, right? So anytime anything crashes, the initial instruction is to isolate that because those fibers and the pieces of those composite materials have the ability to go airborne, and you can't see them, but you breathe them in, and you have toxic exposure right there depending on the content of it, or it could kill you in 20 or 30 years with mesothelioma, stuff along that nature. So when you're seeing these orders, isolate, deny entry, bling, law enforcement, set up cordons, and they're state ordered or government ordered, this is actually really basic ICS, incident command system stuff for a downed aircraft of any sort, whether it was civilian, military, or otherwise. So don't get too excited about that. That in itself is not a conspiracy. That's just a public directive. And civilian agencies are wonderful, but they don't have quite the emphasis on training for aviation that, like, say, the Air Force does or other government entities. So it's a good reminder for the state to push that information out to their local fire departments, EMS, so they have an idea, hey, just so you guys know, you might want to wear your SCBA so you don't die, stuff like that. There's nothing conspiracy related to any of that kind of documentation or ordering. You'll find it pretty standard across the military and most airports in the United States. So let's go on. What kind of drones are these? Well, there's definitely some drone activity going on right now. I kind of feel like I've read reports, but I can't speak to it directly, that there is some Chinese / whatever foreign actor threat here. Again, I'm not publicly reporting that. I read it on the internet. You can Google it yourself. I don't like the fear mongering, but I don't think that's necessarily what we're seeing here. It seems to be a more concerted effort. I'll tell you right now, going back into conspiracies, it's Project Bluebeam. They're doing something to set up a fake alien invasion. They're doing XYZ. Guys, come on. I worked for the government for like over 20 years. They're good at keeping us safe, but they're not that good. They're not that good at organizing. I mean, look at anything the government does. The fraud, waste, abuse, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I mean, it goes on and on. Trust me, they're not going to ever pull that off. There would be too many moving parts. There's no secret organization that would be able to pull that off at scale. So what I think is more likely happening here is one of a couple of things. One, I don't know if you guys have seen the reports, but they're talking about some of these are nuke sniffing drones. Okay, I've heard of these. I've never used them myself, never been around them myself. There's a potential for that, because if they're flying in grids, one thing to keep in mind, we got the inauguration coming up in a couple of weeks, right? So what does it hurt if they have a threat that they want to investigate to do that? Don't you want your government doing that? And then some are saying, well, they have an obligation to report it to us. Do they? Do you really want to know? As someone who was previously privy to a lot of information, you guys would be absolutely shocked and horrified, maybe, at the amount of threats that happen every day that our government, FBI, NSA, CIA, everybody mitigates every day. Like, we are so close at all times to something, but they are just really good at what they do because you don't hear about it. So sometimes preventing mass panic, I mean, look at the hysteria just with the sightings. If they were to come out and say, hey, oh yeah, you know, maybe there's like a 1% chance that some guy somewhere has something and we're looking for it, it's going to close schools, cause chaos, and I understand, and you should too, why they wouldn't want to say that. Whether you are on the camp that's like, well, we need to know every detail, I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you that the studies, previous history show when you tell the general public really bad news when you don't have it confirmed, doesn't matter if it's 1% chance, right? Remember what happened with COVID? What was the percentage of dying? Like 0.5%? Mass hysteria though. Another conspiracy theory, it's a psyop. Okay, a psyop for what? I've already explained to you guys, there's absolutely no way this is any kind of Project Bluebeam or whatever. Take your ass to 4chan or whatever, back page stuff. It's not happening, all right? This is not the deep state trying to set something up. These are too visible overt assets to be out there. If it was something that was covert action that even a figment of a part of an agency was setting up, they wouldn't make it this widespread for this long to be this observable, because there's too much evidence that leads back to it. So I'm taking that off the table completely. Now, could it be Iran, China, you know, the one, I think it was the congressman, he said there was some kind of Iranian mothership that was launching these things. I'm like, in my mind, if that was happening, if that's something that's happening, the realistic part of that would be maybe a submarine launch drone swarm, okay, and they fly a pre-programmed route, maybe based on balloons that had already flown over our country a year before. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. But if that was something, yeah, I think that's plausible. I put it down in like the 1% to 2% range, but that's something plausible. However, I would suggest that that might only happen for a day or two, because especially now that we're seeing them in Washington, D.C., over Metro New York, stuff like that, that indicates to me that it's our stuff, because we have the countermeasures available, surface to air and aerial otherwise, to do everything besides between kinetically take them out to like micro EMP the damn thing. So it just doesn't add up to me that it would continue for multiple days if it was a state actor that wasn't us. So I'm inclined to believe that this is government sanctioned operations. How do we find this stuff out? Well, the process of elimination, right? So if you're out there and you think you're filming your drone sighting or what UAP sighting, what have you out there, there's a couple of steps you can take to eliminate some of the possibilities. One of them, take out one of the airline traffic apps off of your phone, okay? The FlightAware, whatever, I don't care, there's a few of them. And anything that flies in the air that's FAA regulated is going to have a transponder identification, right, if it's not military. So you can cross off a whole host of stuff just right there. There's another app, I think it's called Drone Scanner. Again, not pushing any particular app, but you can search for something. And any drone that's, you know, like a hobbyist drone that's registered with the FAA that's going to fly in airspace, they have to ident also on there. So you can cross a lot of those off the list right away. Okay, so that's two things that you can do right away to identify, hey, this is probably not, you know, a Chinese invasion or an alien invasion. And then of course, just use your mind, use your logic, your common sense. When you're looking up there, if it's got red and green lights, got locator lights, it's flying in grids, and from what I've seen, none of these are moving at like, you know, hypersonic speeds to indicate there's some kind of advanced technology. This seems like just really advanced drone technology. And we've seen this in the war efforts in Ukraine and Russia ramping up. It's been a long worried about threat here in the United States, but let's be real. They've been using drones since like World War I, just as you go back to just lobbing stuff, right? So of course that's gonna get more sophisticated. We got AI now, so they can pre-program routes, they can fly their missions, and it is a concern because it's a lot cheaper to send 500, 1,000 drones into an area, and they only need a few to get through to be effective in a combat capacity, right? So again, I'm not suggesting that's what it is. I'm suggesting this is most likely, of the small percentage of legitimate sightings, probably a government operation, either in training, preparation, or as a countermeasure to a specific threat that probably has a low yield percentage. So I'll tie this all together real quick. Let's review. One, most of these drone sightings are not, in fact, drones at all. They're completely explainable, either manned or potentially unmanned aircraft that some people are either pranking, not reporting as hobbyists, stuff like that, slight airspace violations, and it's getting ramped up because of the mass hysteria that's going on. There's ways to counteract this stuff. You can check Notice Airmen, NOTAMs, those are online. You can check the light configurations. You can check a flight tracker. You can check a drone scanner. You can eliminate a lot of this stuff just by doing that. The fact that this has been allowed to continue for multiple days over populated areas indicates to me that this is not a foreign actor. We would not stand for that for very long. That might go on a few hours. There's absolutely no way they would tolerate that. And we do have the means and the measures to counteract such things. They exist. So to me, this is either, again, a government drill, a very low percentage search party for something specific that they're doing, or it's a test. Simple as that. How will we know? Well, here's how we'll know. If they continue to say nothing officially about this, and the inauguration comes and goes, and then the sightings stop, you could pretty much assume that's where it was at. Anyways, stop panicking, stop the chaos. There's no deep state on this one. I'm not saying there's no deep state, because I don't know. But I don't think so. On this one, it makes too much sense logically in every other capacity. So it's not aliens, it's not blue beam. It's a logical, normal, probably government activity that's going on. Anyways, thanks for watching my video today. Send it to somebody that's a conspiracy theorist so they can say, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.